Rose,
Howdy.
Ferguson, De Leon, Hendricks,
Howdy.
Powers, Radgen, Hunter Brown,
Howdy.
Nick Brown,
Howdy.
Henderson, Hess,
Howdy.
Lambert,
Howdy.
Robinson, Turpin,
Howdy.
Cook,
Howdy.
Sweet, Wright,
Howdy.
Blair,
Howdy.
Cox,
Howdy.
Kubiar, Kuplak,
Howdy, Army.
Luce, Schaller, Day, Flavin,
Howdy.
Roseanne,
Howdy.
Clark,
Howdy.
Lewis,
Howdy.
Haas, Price,
Present.
Rioas,
Howdy.
Blackman,
Howdy.
Brennan, Chen, Collins, Davis, Emmons,
Howdy.
Giles,
Howdy.
Gill, Hemphill, Hutton, Croft,
Howdy.
Langston,
Howdy.
Loving,
Howdy.
McNair, Mathis, McDonald,
Howdy.
Mendoza, Murtha, Peel, Rao, I don't know why I just read it quick. Simpson,
Howdy.
Statham,
Howdy.
Strother,
Howdy.
Trano, Turner.
Howdy.
The long sheet.
We'll now move into a period of invocation of pledge of allegiance given by Chair Song.
All rise. Please bow your heads to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear God, thank you so much for guiding us. For those of us whose turn and student government is coming to an end, just thank you so much for this time and help us to reflect and take the lessons we've learned, because there have been many, to the next phase of our lives. And for those of us that have been reelected, help us to incorporate what we've learned. And for the questions we have tonight, let us clarity of thought and eloquentness of speech, that your will may be served here in this body. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll now move into a period of mission statement and Aggie Honors Code read by our longest serving present Senator, Senator Gordon.
The Texas A&M University Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of our institution. The core values are: an Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do.
Thank you very much, Senator. We'll now move into a period of singing the spirit of Aggie.
Someday goes the proudest soul of the school that takes the grand, but there's a spirit can never be told. It's the spirit of Aggie land. We're the Aggies, the Aggies are we, true to each other as Aggies can be. We've got to fight, boys, we've got to fight. We've got to fight for maroon and white. After they've roosted all the rest, they will come and join the best. For we are the Aggies are we. We're from Jackson SSANC.
Very well. We'll now move on to open forum, beginning with our next student body president, starting tomorrow, I guess, Hannah Wimberly, a human resources and development major, representing the Student Government Association living off campus, fighting Texas class of 2017.
Hey. Howdy, Senate. I'm gonna keep this short because I don't really have a voice. But as y'all know, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So all of y'all came in and you have a Step In Stand Up t-shirt on the back of your chair. Please take that shirt and please wear that shirt. I hope most of y'all have heard the campaign that Texas A&M has started recently called Step In Stand Up. This campaign exists to facilitate conversations surrounding the issues related to sexual assault and to let students know that sexual assault will never be tolerated on our campus. There will be a pledge launched on next Monday, April 25th, through the Step In Stand Up website. You should see that on Texas A&M social media. So I encourage you to take that pledge, Step In and Stand Up Against Sexual Assault, and wear this t-shirt now, and especially on April 29th, which is the day that's set aside for everyone to wear this shirt. It really takes student leaders like y'all to spread this message far across our campus and far beyond any one of us can spread the message. So I'd really appreciate if you take those shirts, wear it. If there's someone sitting next to you that isn't here, take their shirt and give it to another friend, give it to a roommate, give it to someone so that we can continue spreading it. If y'all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Are there any questions for Ms. Wimberly?
Thanks, guys.
No, thank you very much. We'll now move into a period of old business, beginning with SB 6884, the Bill Abolishment Act. The authors will please come forward. They'll have 10 minutes, beginning at the podium.
Well, howdy, Senate. Let's see where to start. Bill, Joseph Hood, Speaker Mitchell, and SVP Benigno and I reached out to Building Young Leaders of Talent. I'm not sure what the preposition there is. Together. I didn't even know it's the last one. But we reached out, we had a meeting, and we asked them, why have you not had a conference in 3 years? Why didn't y'all request any money from SGA? We have a lot of money we can help you out with. What's going on? How can we improve your organization? What can we do to make y'all a success? And they didn't have any officers, they just had one officer. They said they didn't want any money. I know Finance Chair Hood reached out to them several times over the rest of the semester, like trying to set up hearings for all of them. They never wanted to do it. They canceled. They assured us that they would have one this year. They canceled that. It was a big fiasco with refunding all the money. Advisor Ms. Amy Lloyd had to deal with all those headaches. They bear the SGA name, and they've been totally defunct for 4 years. And it's time for them to go. That's what we told them. I don't even think they're against this. They said, we don't see any benefit in being an SGA, and we simply can't put our brand on something that has failed for 4 years, that we've done our total due diligence in terms of trying to give them money, trying to give them support, trying to give them logistical resources. And that's where we come to in terms of this bill. So I'm happy to take any questions, but I really don't anticipate this being a contested question.
We'll go to Senator Clark.
Sheriff Clark.
Sheriff Clark.
Yeah, on campus. So one question I have for you is that even after they get out of SGA, will they still be in formation? Will they still be operating?
Well, they will still be an organization. They haven't operated in the last 4 years. I don't know if they're going to operate in the future. Yeah. But this will not, end built by any means. They just will not. I don't know how we're going to do it. Send them a cease and desist for our logo or what. But yeah, they can do their own thing under STU Act, as far as I know. If they so choose, they won't be part of student government.
Are there any other questions for the presenters? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll now move to a period of debate. Is there any debate against this bill? Seeing none, debate is on side.
Senator Simpson, off campus, I like to propose an amendment to whereas 1. There appears to be an extra D at the end of desire.
Clerical.
And sounds
Oh, you're right. We can fix that clerically if you'd like to withdraw.
Yes.
Okay. It says express desire instead of desire. So is there any debate against? Good catch. Seeing none, debate on time. We will now move into a period of voting on the bill. All in favor of passing SB 6884, the Bill to Law Act, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to SB 6881, the Constituency Affairs Committee and Chair Act. If the authors could please come forward, you'll have 10 minutes for getting it out.
Thank you. Glad is it. So we wrote this bill, took quite a while, put quite a bit of effort, in order to address the issue of having a counterpart between the exec and the Senate. I think it was SB 6857 that established counterparts between the executive branch and the Senate, stating that there should be a VP Finance for our Finance Committee, there should be a VP Constituency Affairs for the Constituency Affairs Committee. And so I wrote this bill with Senator Clark here, Chair Clark, I'm sorry, we keep doing that, and several other members of different parties, such as the Diversity Commission itself and the CCI Committee. And, you know, me and Ja'Cory have a lot in common. We're both transfer students, minority students, but above all, we're at ease. And we care the most about making sure that everybody on this campus feels like they have a place. And we wanted to rename CA to CO, Constituency Outreach, and establish new duties for the CA committee, thereby being known as CO, so that they would be charged with actually going out and seeking out meetings with organizations, populations that are underrepresented, and making sure that they have continued dialogue instead of just tabling, which from what the current CA chair tells me, members of the CA committee, that it's ineffective. And so we wanted to improve it, and it went to RR, and everything we wrote, do my sports going down to the let it be enacted, to be enacted for the CA committee itself is gone. And unfortunately, myself and Ja'Cory here weren't able to go to the RR meeting. So I don't know what really happened with the intentions of the RR committee itself, but everything we worked to put into the new CO committee was erased. And then we're left with this, which is a step forward. It establishes a connection between the Diversity Commission and CA, but it didn't really show the kind of progress that we wanted. And now we realize that you can't make a big old change to something in the Constitution like we tried, but we know that we should focus on taking steps forward for that.
Please, Chair.
Chair of Finance, are the minutes for the RR meeting available anymore?
Minutes are not taken for committee meetings, but committee reports.
Yeah, are the committee reports available?
I'm not sure. If they were, then they'd be on the drive.
Okay.
If they're not available, then they're not on the drive.
And I say all that because I understand that whenever you want to make some changes to something that's already concrete, like a committee and the structure, the tasks, the duties, it's not very warranted sometimes, but I felt like in this instance, whenever individuals came into this room and spoke before us and pointed their fingers at us and told us we needed to do something, I thought that was a pretty decent solution. The people who read it from all these different entities across campus, different councils, different commissions and committees also agreed, but it didn't happen. So I'm going to turn it over to Chair Clark, and he's going to explain what we want to do next.
Okay, so getting into the Senate, one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to build consensus. I understand that you can't just push something that you just want. You have to build consensus in the room in order to pass legislation. So saying that, I understand that the CA bill, the CA language is something that not only the RR committee had a problem with, but other senators have talked about. So our plan is to postpone this bill indefinitely and then put something forth in open session that I think is more agreeable to everybody. So that in this session, we could actually get something done and get something done for the betterment of the student body. After questions, you can ask all your questions that you want, but I'm going to ask somebody in this room to move to postpone this bill indefinitely after that time, whenever it's in order. So with that, my presentation, our presentation starts.
We'll now begin our 5-minute period of question and answer, beginning with Chair Hood.
Chair of Finance, could y'all elaborate on the changes that were made to this bill in the RR committee and kind of if there's any communication to y'all one way or another after Wednesday night, 2 weeks ago, that there was going to be where the RR meeting was, location, the time? Just can you kind of break down for us the process in which y'all's bill completely changed?
Yeah, so the RR committee meeting was at we knew where the RR committee meeting was, but it turned out that me and the author here were not able to make it because of school year. So for that reason, the bill had to go up as it is, and we let the RR committee do what they wanted with it. What happened during the committee process was that basically all the language that talked about the CA stuff was cut out, and this was left. So I tried to talk with the RR chair about what happened. And I want to say this, I'm not blaming the RR chair. This is not, I understand that it wasn't just them that were against the language there. There were other senators that came up and talked about it. So we're not pointing the finger at the RR chair or whatever they did. But this is what we're stuck with, and this is something we wanted to do. Again, I think that the bill that we're going to put forth in the open session is something that is better for the committees and better for this body as a whole. Did that answer your question? Yes.
We will now go to Pro-Tem Dean.
Virginia Dean campus, Commissioner Pepis.
Yes, ma'am.
I know part of the issue with the bill was that it changed 2 different parts of the bill. The new bill that's going to happen, I guess, only changed one part where that won't have to be erased.
Yes,
Going
yes. It only changes the bylaws, this new bill.
Okay.
And I know that was a problem too.
Okay.
But yeah, this new one will change the bylaws.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll now recognize myself. Did you guys make any indication to the Rules and Regulations Committee which part of the code you prefer to be, amended over the other one? Because I was at the meeting, that was the question that they had to deal with was, are we going to make this an act or a bylaw bill? So was there any communication?
Yes, there was. I sent an email to the RR chair with the language that I wanted. What I wanted the bill to look like after the committee had taken place. I don't know why that wasn't put forth, but again, this is not attacking the RR committee. They're not the only ones who are against this bill. Does that answer your question?
I also wanted to tag on to that too. For whatever reason, this is completely unrelated to our actual communication, but whatever emails I seem to send to the RR chair's email doesn't reach him. And that's nothing with him, but it happened previously. He emailed me once and I got it 2 days later. And I know that's a technical issue.
We'll now go to Chair Sonka.
Can you come get down, please?
Yes, with a minute 35 remaining, we'll go to Senator Hess.
Chairman Hess, College of Engineering, Commissioner Pepis.
Sir.
So you guys were talking about how this came to the RR committee and changed the remains. As the RR committee, unfortunately, I was not able to be there, but our job is to essentially edit the bill in a way that the committee itself sees as appropriate for SGA and the student body as a whole. Is there anything you'd like to specifically touch on that we may have done wrong with that editing?
Again, this is not an attack on the R committee. And I keep on saying that, this is not an attack on the R committee. There were other senators that were not for this bill as well. That is why we are pushing forward with the bill that we have. The R committee has the prerogative to cut whatever part of the bill that they like, that they see fit. So I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying that
30 seconds.
because of this, we need to move forward in this.
Senator Schroeder, you have a motion?
Senator Schroeder on canvas, I move the table bill indefinitely.
Motion to table bill indefinitely has been made and seconded. This is a debatable motion. Is there any debate? Yes, Chair Sonko will start the debate against.
Well, howdy, Senate. So not everyone in this body was at the Rules and Regulations Committee meeting, so I want to go over a few things that happened there. We showed up at the meeting, and neither of the authors were there, and the bill that we had could either be an act, which would add the Diversity Commission, or it could be a bylaw bill, which would change the constituency affairs chart. The amendments I received from the authors still had this one or the other, and in our code, it clearly states you can only change one part of the code with a bill. And that's a precaution so that you can't just say this will be the new code and make everyone read a 300-page document. That's a very important precaution. So we sat down and we hadn't received any information about what the authors wanted, whether they wanted the Diversity Commission or they wanted to change a few things with constituency outreach. So we decided, absent any information, because we weren't communicated about that stuff, that we would rather keep the Diversity Commission in. That's the choice we made. And that's not because we were against the bill. It's because we had to choose. We had to choose one or the other. Otherwise, we would have come here for a vote and the bill would have been out of order. And we couldn't have done it. We would have had to wait, all the way till joint session because you have to read them all twice if you change the code. You can't do any emergency stuff. So that's the decision that was made. And we did our, a good faith effort to change it in there. The authors, attempted to reach out to me on Monday. They told me, they were too busy to call me on Monday night for the times I gave them. It was like a 4-hour span. That's fine. I gave a time yesterday. I didn't get to talk to them yesterday. It was my fault. But this is the 11th hour. I mean, we made a good faith effort, and none of the changes we made were because we were against the bill. Nobody's against the bill until you vote against it. And so I wanted to clarify that for you.
25 seconds.
This is a legitimate bill. I don't know why we're tabling indefinitely, but if y'all want to, then go ahead. I don't want to time on the floor.
We'll move to debate 4, and we'll begin with, I saw Senator Chen first.
And I agree with what the chair said about the bill itself. We weren't able to go. That's our fault. He and I have pretty hectic schedules, and we thought that because of what the bill was named, it was named the Constituency Outreach Committee and Chair Bill, that the focus would remain within editing CA, and the concurrent change that happened to link CA and diversity was made here. And yes, he is correct. It is a good edit. This is what we wanted from one end. We wanted to make sure there was continuity in the code in which it said Diversity Commission has to work with CO, and then CO committee has to work with Diversity Commission. That's what we were aiming for, and that didn't happen. I remember I sent an edit actually to the speaker, but again, there was something funky with my email, so I can't blame anybody. We just weren't able to go. We weren't able to make the edits that we wanted to. We wanted to table it indefinitely because we can pass something like this that links it one way, and we can come back to the next session and write how it links it the other way from CA to diversity. Or we can have something that the Chair Clark worked very hard to write in order to satisfy all of the dissent within the room about the bill itself. And then with that, I yield my time to Chair Clark.
We have a minute and 2 seconds.
Well, he basically said everything. Again, I think that if you look at the bill that we're going to have in open session, it is something that everybody can get behind, I can tell you. And it's not only that, but I think it's even better than what we put out in the CA, with the CA bill. So with that, I yield my time to the floor.
Vote has been yielded. Debate against will go to Senator Crawford. First question has been made. Moved and duly seconded. All in favor of moving to this question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Passes unanimously. We'll now vote on tabling SB 6881, the Constituency Affairs Committee and Chair Act indefinitely. All in favor of doing so, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Passes unanimously. We'll now move on to SB 6883, the Pyre Squared bill. If the authors could please come forward, they'll have 10 minutes to be had.
Well, howdy, Senator.
Howdy.
Senator Cox and James. So once again, we're back here to emphasize the importance of Pyre Square. Unfortunately, we met with Dean Banks and things are looking quite dire with the situation when it comes to Pyre Square. So at this point, please hiss, exactly. We would like to impose on y'all that you guys support us in this opposition towards closing it. We would like you guys, somebody, to please amend it to say that we do not support this change, because it has come quite clear to us that Pyre Square is going to be gone. And at this point, all we can do is make sure that everyone on campus knows that we do not like it. 2, the engineering students do not like it. And 3, that it's going to rob us of a year and a half worth of food, to be quite frank. The EEC will not be built until a year and a half after it closes.
And that's optimistic. You know how construction goes.
So I'm sure someone will propose an amendment, whether it's Nick or me or whoever it is. I'd like to ask you guys for your support, and please, as an engineer who eats at Pyre Square 2 times a week typically, please support us.
Are there any questions? Yes, Senator Chin.
My question was, what do you want us to amend specifically? You said amendment.
Yeah, sure. So, as it currently stands, it's not very obvious what we want. It says, it does not close, or if that's not possible, we replace it with another eating establishment. Just make it very, very point blank, I guess. Clear out those 2 and say that we as the student senate and the student body would like, this is not word for word, but try to take my meaning from it. Well, we are against the closing of Pyre Square, and we're in full support of it remaining open.
And just piggyback off that, if you guys remember the eminent domain bill that was passed earlier on, it's the same concept. We want to formally propose it, not just informally. Nick and I and the rest of the engineers going down to whoever it may be saying, we do not support this. We want the student senate, the representatives of the student body, to say, hey, this is ridiculous.
Which, bearing in mind, we've had a lot of conversations with other people. It's not just us, me and Derek saying this. You spoke with quite a few people in the SEC, I believe, and it's a kind of overwhelming opinion that students are not for this. I assume that probably is pretty self-evident, like why would we want to get rid of an eating establishment? But at the same time, it's not coming from just me and him.
We'll now go to Chair Hood.
Withdrawn.
We'll now go to Senator Wright.
Senator Wright, Biomedical Sciences. So y'all confirmed that in the new Zachary building, that Starbucks is going to be the only restaurant there?
Yes. We have had, not only have we had contact with was it someone, chair of restaurants?
So yeah, University Dining Advisory Committee, Chartwell's, and the Dean of Engineering, who is kind of spearheading this.
And And once again, just saying what we said last time, it's gonna be a big Starbucks. I have no idea what that entails, but what they said is that there will be sandwiches and hot soups, but no open flame cooking. And that is the cusp of everything they've said so far.
And I think by big, they mean there's a lot of seating. I don't believe that they mean a very large kitchen per se, because sandwiches and soups, I would imagine takes all that much to handle.
And not only that, just think about the Starbucks in Evans. I see that, and just like Chair Page has just said, I see that with a lot of seats. And we all know how that Starbucks fills up almost constantly at every hour of the day. So realistically, that will be the only restaurant, and probably enough.
With 2 minutes remaining, we'll go to Senator Stewart.
Senator Stewart, called the back last time.
Please wait until debate for that. Are there any other questions? Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, Liberal Arts. Do you guys plan to lobby towards administration for this?
Yes, so just to give, like I said, the background, we have gone to Dean Banks and had a conversation with her, and about, I guess it was halfway during the meeting, that conversation closed. Okay, yeah, halfway during the meeting, conversation was closed. I'll be honest with you, I was quiet the rest of the meeting. I was simply defeated at that, because I've spoken to ample engineers about this, and they have all said, what? No one believed it at first, and now it's starting to become a reality of all the signs around. For the second part of that, since then, we have gone to the civil engineering head where the space will be allocated to, and the civil engineering head actually referenced us to Dean Banks. So now we're gonna have another conversation with Dean Banks about the same thing again. Besides that, at the moment, we're trying to get an article written for the battalion, and besides that, there's not much else we can do.
Yes. So every administrator we've reached out to try to speak with, we may offer a different opinion, has routed us back to city. So we're continuing conversation there, but this is our next step.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you all very much. We'll now move to period of debate. Is there any debate against? Senator Sport.
Senator Sport, called the back last time, 7 minutes ago.
Please briefly describe your amendment.
All right, I would like to remove let it be enacted 2, rename let it be further enacted 3, let it be further enacted 2, and change, therefore let it be enacted 1, to say that the student body as representatives of Texas A&M students do not support the closing of High Square without adequate replacement.
Okay. So if you repeat one, it's the students of Texas.
The Texas A&M Student Senate as representatives of the student body formally do not support the closure of High Square without adequate replacement.
So as representatives of the student body, the student senate as representatives of the student body formally do not support the closure of High Square without adequate replacement. All right. Adequate.
Is that incorrect?
Replacement.
Let's take out the adequate.
Take out what?
Adequate.
Okay. Does this amendment have a second? There are multiple seconds. You may now briefly debate, or you may now debate for your amendment and start for amendments.
Howdy, Senator Support, College of Ag Life Science. So I live, or most of my time on West Campus, and I spent a lot of time in the AGLS building, and right across from there was a little place called the Ag Cafe. And this semester, when I went to go get my morning coffee and lunch, I realized that it was closed. And that place was near and dear to me, and not having a place to eat can drastically affect your performance throughout the day and just in general. And I feel like it's necessary for everyone to have a place where they can go and find specimens to carry them out throughout the day. They can scholastically, and I think it's not fair to take that away from our engineers that we hold so near and dear to our hearts. I'll yield my time to the floor.
Floor has been yielded. Is there any debate against the amendment? Senator Hess.
Senator Hess, College Engineering. Thank you, Senator Sport, for putting up this amendment, but.
Sorry for mentioning names. Debate.
Pardon. But, as I stated earlier, we want this to simply be a formal statement from the Senate who are represented saying that we do not support this decision. So I propose an amendment to the amendment saying that we clear without replacement.
Okay. Is there a second? There will be a second, so we now begin debate for your amendment. Yes.
So, reason with this again is simply because it's a formal statement from us that we are not for this removal of Pyre Square. So, I'll leave it at that, and I will yield my time on the floor.
Floor has been yielded. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll now move to period of voting on the amendment to the amendment. All in favor of approving the amendment to the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously. You now have the floor for debate against the amendment.
I motion to previous question.
Motion to previous question is in order because we started with debate 4. So the seconds, all in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Pass unanimously. We'll now move to a period of voting on the amendment. All in favor of approving the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Pass unanimously. Senator Sport, you now have the floor for debate against the bill.
Previous question.
Out of order, but you can yield to the floor. Okay. Is there any debate for the bill? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll now move to a period of voting on the bill. All in favor of approving SB 6883, the Pyre Square bill as amended, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Passes unanimously. We will now move into a period of presentation for SB 6875, the ice hockey season pass bill. Yes, sir.
Chair Page, Academic Affairs. I move to pull SB 6880 from the Academic Affairs Committee.
A motion to pull SB 6880 from the Academic Affairs Committee has been made. Is there a second for this motion? There is. We'll now go into debate. Is there any debate against pulling SB 6880 from the Academic Affairs Committee? Yes, Senator Hutt.
Point of information, as Senator Hutton came to office, what is the name of the bill and what's the general idea behind it?
It looks like it's called the Course Information Improvement Bill, and it is to improve the course registration system of Tech Center.
Thank you.
So we'll now go back into debate. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, debate is on. All in favor of pulling SB 6880 from committee, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously. If the bill authors could please come forward for SB 6880, we'll have 10 minutes beginning at
Howdy, Senate. I'll start by explaining why it was pulled for committee. My committee meeting had to be late last night because of award nomination selections and that. So the agenda was already set out. We couldn't put it on the agenda. They didn't want to do a full officer vote. So I figured it'd be easier just to, we amended it, we passed through committee, but it wasn't technically on the agenda. So pulling it was just an easier way around it. It was by no means failed in committee or anything like that. It's not why we had to do that. Anyways, I'll let Grayson Blair take it from here.
All right. This is for you new senators. I just had an idea that I had for my campaign. So I brought it to someone named Chen, and he basically helped me out and pretty much wrote it for me and took it and I mean, so yeah, so then it went to committee, and I was still technically the main author of the bill, and we got a really good idea across. I really think that this is committee, we figured out something that I think is really going to work. So, yeah. But basically, what it's going to do is whenever you register for classes, they're supposed to have a syllabus on there that you can look at that's from a previous class and similar. similar semester, similar things like that, so.
Great. Are there any questions for our presenters? Jared?
Chair of Finance, who have y'all communicated with about this, about the feasibility of it actually coming to be, and what do they kind of relate to us?
Me personally, I haven't reached out to the, what's your name? Just go down to the bottom.
Vanessa, I did the registrar.
Yeah, I haven't contacted the registrar's office, but I mean, honestly, there's some new teachers, and I just think that it's just, I don't really think I need to, I don't know. Yeah, I'll let him finish that question.
Yeah, so as far as feasibility on an infrastructural level or on a system level, they already have support for linking syllabi to the course, as you're probably well aware. All this bill is calling for is having that syllabus be required to be linked before students start registering for classes, giving at least a 3-day window for, that way you can go and see like, okay, so what am I actually getting into? Because a lot of departments have 15 people who teach the same course, 30 people who teach the same course, and it varies widely based on the textbook that's used, the material that's even covered sometimes, and various other things, depending on your professor. This would not address it. Sometimes you go in there, you say, especially if you're a registered very early, honors, athlete, etc. Oh, TBA. Okay, so we don't know who's teaching it yet. Then it would not fall under this rule. But especially if it's the same teacher who teaches all the time, kind of thing, at least have an up-to-date syllabus for that course ready by the time people are registering, so they can see what they're getting into. So it's entirely feasible. It would just be up to the professors to have their stuff together slightly earlier than what they have in the past.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, he rewrote it. Jonah started it, and then he rewrote it. That's why I'm kind of, I know what I wanted, and we came up with the idea, and the committee rewrote this.
We'll go to Bosworth then.
Chair Bosworth, CA, what would stop professors just to like send out a syllabus that says to be announced, and then they can wait until the first day of class to say, hey, here's the actual syllabus?
Yeah, we talked about that, and to be honest, it's just a beast. I mean, to be announced, that's just a beast I don't want to tackle, because that's something that, they don't know who the professor is going to be, and it's something I don't want to. That wasn't my idea.
So to address your question about them sending out a syllabus that just says information to be provided later, is that right? So in the Texas A&M student rules, there are actually minimum requirements for syllabi. They have to list objective outcomes. They have to list the course, the percentage breakdown for what your grade is, etc. So yeah, they could have a very skeletal outline, but it has to meet certain requirements.
We will now go to Senator Ferguson.
Would y'all mind explaining to me the difference between this and like getting on Howdy now and looking at previous syllabi from like that semester or like spring previously, and like why this is necessary as an extra
Okay. Sure. So I'll try to clarify. It's probably a question on a lot of people's minds. The thing is, if certain departments will have a certain course, the same guy teaches year after year for multiple years. You go back and see a different course syllabus, and it's exactly the same. And then in this case, this would not be necessary. However, there's a lot of them, especially they're more on the first, second year basis, where you have, as I kind of mentioned earlier, 15, 20, 30 people teaching the exact same course, but it's not the same course because every professor, they have to kind of follow somewhat of a guideline, but a lot of times those guidelines are very, very abstract. And they could say, well, we're going to focus very heavily on this thing and very lightly on this thing. We're going to use a different textbook. We're going to use a different grading scheme. We're going to use, very much change the course with their own personal, I guess, privilege or preference as the professor would have. And we're definitely not against that. We just want to see an updated syllabus for the actual professor that you're registering for, so you know specifically what you're signing up for, not just in a general sense. Because you can go to the course catalog and see a 3-sentence description of every course. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's what you'll be doing. But we want it to be a little more specific so people can choose their classes knowing what they're getting into.
And this was an issue for me, so it was, liberal arts and my constituents, and then when I brought it up, they had issues too. So it's just, whenever you register for a class, it's basically like taking a shot in the dark. If it's a new teacher, that's really the issue. And especially sometimes, a lot of my classes, I couldn't find past syllabuses, and if they were from different teachers. So.
And with 25 seconds remaining, we'll go to Senator Crawford.
Senator Crowe, off-campus caucus. Just a quick question.
Have you all spoken to the faculty or administration to gauge their support for our willingness to implement this bill?
10 seconds.
Well, we have spoken to a couple, not, I guess, a representative sample of the entire faculty and administration. So I assume that's going to vary quite widely, but most professors have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be doing with the course prior to.
Yes, Senator Simpson, often this, I need to extend a period of question.
Motion to extend about 30 seconds has been made and seconded. All in favor of extending to about 30 seconds, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously, and then you'll have 30 seconds to continue answering that question.
Most should have a pretty good idea of kind of what they're expecting to do with the class before going and teaching, because they have to have lesson plans ready. They don't come up with the stuff a week before the class is being taught, in most cases anyway. A lot of times this is like a full year to get ready to teach a course properly. So whether they're ecstatic about coming with syllabi earlier or syllabus earlier than they would have normally or not, I think it's something very easy for them to do, something they're going to have to do anyway, and something that benefits the students a lot. And ultimately, that's what we're going for as a student sense, to benefit the students.
5 seconds.
Thank you.
And that period of question and answer has expired. Pending any motions, we will now move into a period of yes.
Chairman of Finance, I have a motion.
Yes, sir.
I move to extend question and answer by 1 minute. I really.
Motion to extend by 1 minute has been made. Is there a second? There are multiple seconds. All in favor of extending by 1 minute, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Passed unanimously. We'll have 1 more minute of questions, and I'll recognize you, sir.
Chairman of Finance. This is just a burning question of mine that I just need to figure out. Just for my own sake, because I could be completely off base with this. Is it not a university requirement that once a professor submits their syllabus, they can no longer change it? Because I was under the impression that's the case.
That would almost be a point of information.
Okay, so, well, then you'd have to address there. But to my knowledge, I think that's once the course begins, they're not allowed to change it. But again, almost every syllabus will have some kind of line that says, all this is up to interpretation of the professor, or this is subject to change. So they just don't necessarily have to follow it, even though if they can't change it officially on the website. But even still, this is kind of giving students at least a way to initially gauge what they're moving
And
forward.
this is especially for freshmen that really have no idea what college is, so they just kind of, they're like, well, what do I have to do? What are the assignments? That's how I am, so I want to know how many pages the paper is and things like that.
Finish your sentence. Thank you very much. We'll now move to debate. Is there any debate against the bill? You guys can please make it for. Seeing Chair Hood is recognized.
Chair Hood, Finance. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
First, I just want to say, love this idea. I think that students need to be better informed about what is going on in campus, what's going on. My concern is not the idea behind the bill. My concern is that there's a lot of questions that have been raised, and I'm just personally, I cannot vote for this bill because I don't have full confidence that we have the knowledge that we need to be able to bring this forward to administration. And that's bottom line. I love the idea. I commend the senators who brought it forward because it's something that needs to happen. It's a conversation that needs to be had. We've had it in the past with TBA bills. We've had it in the past with other bills about the fact that students need more information when they register. And I think that this bill opens that conversation. My concern is just that I just feel like there are too many questions raised for me personally that I cannot vote for this bill. With that, I yield to Senator Ferguson.
Senator Ferguson, geoscientist. I'm with this chair on that it's students need to be better informed. However, I think in this state, if we were to pass this bill, the faculty is going to pawn it off and say, well, students need to do better with communication. And it's going to go round and around and nothing's going to get fixed. So I think we need to go through and answer some of these questions and just refine this a little bit before we send it up to them, because I think in this current state, they're going to shoot it down.
1 minute.
The faculty is already more concerned with the non-teaching side of their job. And so I think this needs to be refined a little bit because they're not really going to care whether or not you get your syllabus or when you get it. They're really going to care more whether you communicate with them about your questions about the syllabus within the first 2 weeks of school, and you would have your syllabus by then anyway. So with that, I give my time to the floor.
We will now go to debate 4, beginning with Senator Chen.
Well, I'll keep it pretty short. I understand what the concerns are. When I originally wrote the bill, this was supposed to go to the individuals who were in charge of the course catalog. Now that's a little bit different. It's going to go to the registrar and include professors and their syllabi. What they have to say is correct. For the most part, you will have the syllabus within the first couple of weeks of school. This makes it necessary for them to have to submit a syllabus for all students, for all levels of courses, so that a freshman will have the same advantage of knowing what a course is going to require as much as a senior would for an individual who has to take a similar course or the same course. And so that is the purpose of the bill. I understand the semantics might not seem too pleasing, but it was going through AA and those mandated to look like this, and having somebody who works well with administration and has those relationships and knows what they want, and then I believe that is perfectly able to pass through this body without problems from the administration. And with that, I yield my time to Chair Hicks.
A minute 15.
Chair Page, Academic Affairs. I wanted to kind of touch on the fact that I heard that the previous debaters saying a lot of things about there's a lot of unanswered questions. I feel like if there was unanswered questions, I would have liked to have heard them in question and answer. All this is asking for is to get the syllabus that you are required to get, shortly after the start of class. I think technically maybe by the start of class, I'm hazy on that right now. To get it a bit earlier so you actually have it when you're registering for your classes. This isn't asking for any other work the professor wasn't going to have to do. This is putting everybody on a level playing field. And so, yeah, it's something that the professor's going to have to do. They're going to have to come up with that one-page summary of their course, how they're going to grade it, maybe slightly earlier than they would have had to before. So, again, I don't think this is any kind of undue burden. I don't think there's any kind of questions that we have. I don't think this is an unrefined bill at all. We spent a long time discussing this in committee, and I'm fully confident with all my conversations with the registrar, with faculty senate, with people who are involved in all this on its most intimate levels, that this is something that the students want, and the students are going to get a great benefit out of it, and not something that's unreasonable to ask for.
Do you have a motion, sir?
Yeah, Senator Whitler, let's have a motion to extend the start of the debate.
That is out of order. Okay. So, however, your time has expired. Okay. So now we'll go to debate again. Is there any? We'll go Chair.
Chair of Finance. Hi, Senate.
Howdy.
First, just want to say, I know what a lot of y'all are thinking. It's almost 8 o'clock, Joseph. We want to get going. We have a lot on our syllabus. Yeah, I know. I apologize, but I do want to make sure that to the very last minute that we're here in the Senate, that we're doing our best in our due diligence. And I'm not saying that this bill isn't. I'm not. As far as questions were raised when they should have been raised, I believe I raised several questions. I kept trying to raise questions when they were coming forward. We extended the period of question and answer. I would love to ask more questions. Maybe we can sit down, have a chat, get some coffee. I would love to do that. Figure some things out. But I honestly do believe, senators, that we do not have the information needed to do a good job. It was referenced that, oh, we've talked with faculty, but if you say what faculty you talked with, well, I'm not going to really put that forward. It's kind of been thrown out there. We have a very tenuous relationship right now with faculty senate and with the rules committee as well within the administration of Texas A&M. And my concern is that we bring forward a policy that is a legitimate concern for us and for the students. And it's not well researched that this could do more damage than good. With that, I yield to Senator Hutton.
Senator Hutton off campus. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
I think that there are a lot of opportunities for student senate to kind of lose face in the sight of our faculty and in the sight of our board of regents, and that's not something that we want to continue to do. I think that this is an opportunity for us to stand up and say that we are going to continue to research legislation, and we're going to really push for that, and we're going to put forth our best legislation that we possibly can. And if this isn't what we think is our absolute best, then we shouldn't move forward with that bill. And with that, I move to previous question.
Previous question has been moved and duly seconded. All in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay. On the division.
Chair calls on division. All in favor of previous question, please stand. And all against.
What is happening?
Yeah, somebody,
Clear out of the way.
yeah.
If you're not in the middle, then you're to the side.
Well, we will, the show will go on. I hope he's okay.
Are we still again?
All right, it's handled. Please let them do the thing, the advisors in the hallway. The previous question passes, so now we're going to vote on this bill. So all in favor of passing the bill, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say
Nay.
nay. Tree calls on division. So all in favor of the bill, please stand. And all opposed. By a vote of 22 to 13, that passes. We'll now go on to SB 6875, the ice hockey season pass bill. If the presenters could please come forward. 10 minutes are had.
Yes. Because I have questions.
Howdy. Howdy. So first I'd like to apologize to Bonnie for not being here in the initial presentation of this bill. A few meetings ago, I was taking a finance exam, and on completion, I didn't know whether it was here, and we'd already moved into open session, which was quite odd because it was only a little after 9, and that's a little good. With that in mind, I'd like to thank Chair Page for doing such an excellent job of presenting the bill and explaining the purpose of it and answering questions that all of you had. So with that in mind, I'd like to explain a little bit about what was changed in the committee process with this bill and what I'd like to do with it. As I'm sure you're aware, this bill looks quite different from what it did during its first presentation. We changed the name, we changed a little bit about what was going on with the bill. This was done after recommendations I made to the committee after a meeting with the Talking Foundation. So during the committee process last week, we revamped this bill with the idea that we would support the notion that, or advocate for a season pass to be made for ice hockey attendance. And so earlier this week, I met with a sport club's director, and he informed me that this is already being done. Students already have the option of buying a sports pass for ice hockey games. It's $62. And with that being said, it does not move the body to vote on this because this is already something that's being done. And with that being said, I would withdraw this bill.
Are there any other authors or sponsors of the bill? Are you on this one?
Yeah, I am.
You consent to withdraw the motion?
Yes.
Okay, that being said, the question is withdrawn. We'll now move into a period of consideration for 6882, the Fish Aid Selections Act.
How is it? I have fixed fixed everything from it. I have an email from Becca that says this is how she wants it. This is exactly, there's a spot in the code for every committee within SGA, fish aids being one of them. And I have an email straight from her from earlier today that said this is, this is perfect. This is the way she wants it to be put in. And so that's all I have to, any questions?
We'll begin with Chair Clark.
Thank you. Chair Clark. Can you briefly explain to the body the prep process that's going to take place under this legislation?
Okay, so basically the way this code, the way it has it lined out is that Fish Aids accepts the applications. They have their process that goes into the FLAC system, which after talking to Becca, she said there's some computer code that does some stuff, and then it goes back to Fish Aids. They select their 40 members. They say they have their 40 members, and then they from there there's an informational, which anybody that receives a fish aid is invited to attend this informational to express, whatever their committee is expected of their fish aid. And then after that, the fish aids get distributed, and from there, and they still have to follow both whatever the exec for fish aid wants, plus what they're designed to do within their committee they're put on.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but there's it's like an informational social as well, so it's an interaction. And there's also a mention of dual preferences, right?
Yes, okay, so, that was it. At the informational, it's kind of a social thing. You go around, you talk to the committees that you see there that want to put somebody forward to this informational. Not everybody has to attend. And while you're there, you talk, especially, which gives us the option to be there and be like, you know what, as RR chair for the 69th session, here's what I'm expecting of fish aid, blah, blah, blah. I'd really love to have, this type of people. And then at the end of the informational, as a chair, I get the ability to prep the fish aids that I met and whichever ones, and then they also have their preferences for whatever committees, commissions, branches they want to go to. And then from there, Fish Aids has the deciding factor of how it goes to from there.
Thank you.
I will now go to Senator Blair with 253. Yeah.
Senator Blair, could you expand on the specific things that changed this bill for the body, just so what exactly changed and what made it not
the real difference that I know, I was not on the original bill that I think you're referring to. I was not on that, so I don't. I was a sponsor after being on the RR, and I know that it was kind of us coming up with it and proposing it to Fish Aids. We're here. I went out to Becca and I said, hey, I want to meet with you. I want to know what there's spots in our code for it. I want to know what you want us to put in. You propose to change to the way it's going to happen, which is the dual preferencing system. And I said, I'd like to code that for you. Let us do it. And from here, I will move on to other committees. But,
yeah. I think the biggest difference was the fact that, A, they're not being moved from FLAC, but also the chairs do not have like a final authority to pick their fish aids. We get to preference, just like they get to preference, but it's ultimately Fish Aids' decision as well.
And I think the other big deal is we are not involved at all within the interviewing of potential fish aids. It's solely once they're selected, we get to go meet them and then say which fish aids we would like in our committee.
Are there any other questions, Senator?
Senator Hutton, off-campus caucus, do you have any amendments that you're planning on proposing for this?
I do. This bill was the bill that came out of committee, and I received an email from Becca, the current Fish Aids director, and we talked about it. And because I was not able to meet at the previous RR committee, we talked about it, and I have a bill that was sent to the pro temp that I want to submit for to make sure it's all clean and whatnot.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. When I move to a period of debate, is there any debate? Yes, Senator Rosine.
I have the amendments submitted to the pro tem.
Okay. Is there a second to his amendment? There are no seconds. You may now begin your debate for the amendment.
Basically, I made all the changes that the current fish aid director wanted. Other than that, there's really nothing that I need to say. And I yield my time to the floor.
Okay. Is there any debate against this amendment? Yes, sir, Senator Strawberry.
Senator Strawberry, off campus. I don't know if I'm really immersed in the amendment, but I would like to hear a little more explanation about what changes were made. We're pretty hard on some RR, but I don't have any idea. And we made changes, let's pass through. That would be it.
One person,
Yes, sir.
where is the?
Could we please have it emailed out to the body by Mr. Marinoff? And the floor has been yielded, so is there any debate for the amendment, for the amendment? Senator Rosine will recognize you.
Okay, so within the amendment, I took out a couple of issues that she had with it. Can we scroll down a little bit? Screen. Okay, so basically, after having, I know y'all took out the 40, the number of people that they would take. She was really for that being in there because she only wanted 40, and because that's what she wanted, that's what I put back in. There was a part that I had left in from the previous bill because I did use parts of the previous bill because it did add it to the code very well and was well worded. And I took out some of the wording to rephrase it so that it was not that we were moving against fish aids. It was more of a, we're moving to codify all the committees because that's something I'd like to do eventually. Yes, I can.
You sent like a screenshot that you like sent it to her. I killed it.
Okay.
So we'll pause the debate for a minute while we get this distributed to the body to address Chair Hood's point of personal preference. Yes, Senator Langston.
Senator Langston. I rise to
Question.
You wouldn't even know to look at it.
We can have our sergeant at arms. What? This sergeant at arms made open the doors. You did the physical stuff around the side. All the heavy lifting.
I'm happy.
Alright, so is this the new one? Alright, can we scroll down a little bit? I'll point out I put in the first, whereas the very first that it said, well, no, wrong whereas.
1 minute.
Okay. Down a little bit, yeah, I know. And let it be enacted. First article, it says in section 1 that 40 freshmen, because that's what she wanted. A little bit further down. Again, I put back in 40. I removed the fact that that you can have preference whether, or you can ask why, like what your fish aid's preference, because she thought that was unnecessary. And then lastly, I put in, I changed the very last wording of it to just because it was a little bit. I changed execute, or I changed the word to execute. Fish aid shall execute, and that was all the changes. Second one, I took out, there's a part where you could preference what, you could figure out what your fish ate preference.
Please finish your sentence. Please finish. Okay, we'll now move to debate against the amendment. Senator Schreiber. You could vacate the floor. Thank you.
Senator Schreiber off campus. So I'm on the RR committee, and I was there when we were having these conversations. We thought, so the execute one, I think we're on board with because grammar is probably not an engineer's a strong suit. But one of the reasons we elected to remove the 40 was because we decided that would give future fish aids directors more flexibility if they ever wanted to change. So we didn't have to come through the body to do that, because right now, fish aids makes all the decisions on how many fish aids they take. And if they want to take 40, it doesn't even the bylaw them to do that. So we figured it was in the event that any fish aid director wanted to scale up or scale down for whatever reason, like maybe we recruit a couple more SGA committees, it would provide that opportunity. Second, the idea of letting the committee chairs view the preferences, we thought was a good accountability measure, because we did think there were some significant concerns where committees had ended up with fish aids that weren't enthusiastic about it, and I think that would lead to some understanding of maybe why that's the case, but also it provides a check to make sure that it would provide a way for the committees to understand the kinds of freshmen they were getting and understand how they were viewed. And so it's a feedback measure, and it doesn't hurt anybody to know that, was our thought. And so with that, I yield my time to the...
What has been yielded, we'll now recognize Pro Tem Dean for debate for the amendment.
All right, Senate, well, the way this FLAC works, a flow that is entering FLAC or going through recruitment, they have to have a set number going forward in their constitution that they turn into student activities. So because of that, if we take out the 40 so they can change it and not have to go through the body, they're technically not going to be in regulation with what FLAC is going to require. So that part has to be there as of this last year, going through the way I understood it, because I know that my organization revised the Constitution.
Yes, they do, but we think the SGA should, they don't.
Please stay in order.
Okay, I go.
The only reason I added this back in was because Becca personally emailed me for this, and I don't want this to be in question of, us trying to do anything that they're against. And if she wants to have to make it for future fish aids directors to come to us again to change in the code, that if they want 42 people or 41 or 41 and a half, however many people they want to take, it won't be hard to change it. And if they want to make it harder on themselves to change how many people they make, that's their choice. It's not really ours to decide. So I yield to Senator Hutton.
Senator Hutton, off-campus caucus, just to give you a little bit of perspective on why the fish aids director may have also desired for that 40 number to be set. Part of how fish aids is structured is for there to be a built-in family structure behind each of their fish aids, and then that way it's better supporting each of the freshmen. So they're assigned a brother and assigned parents and grandparents. And that's a really cool opportunity for them to develop as individuals and to experience mentorship in that organization. And so that's how it's been for almost 40 years. And there's not really much of a point in us changing that, especially if that helps them keep within the regulations of FLAC. And so I hope that you support these amendments. And with that, I yield to Chair Hood.
23 seconds, sir.
Chair Hood, Finance. I just want to very briefly touch on the idea of accountability that was brought up. 2 weeks ago, we passed a bill. I think 2 weeks ago, we passed a bill concerning medical leaves and trusting the Aggie Honor Code. You're going forward. When it comes to absences, I think we also need to trust that these committees aren't going to be working behind our backs. We need some trust in between the committees and students, and I think the accountability does not demonstrate that trust.
We'll now recognize debate against. Is there any debate against? Senator Schreiber, you'll have 2.5 minutes.
There was a great American president who had stared down one of the greatest adversaries this nation ever faced. His name was Ronald Reagan. That adversary was Russia. And so it came and he had a great motto: trust but verify. Basically, but the point I'm trying to make is it's not a big obstacle or an impediment to have the ability to check and see how excited is this freshman to be on my committee, right? I think that's important for you to understand. Say, like, is this somewhere my freshman wants to be? If it is, fine, that box is checked. If it's not, then hey, maybe I need to do a little rapport building or work on that relationship a little more, just make him excited, give him or her fired up for that. Also, FLAC is not in jeopardy. I was just overheard a conversation with the student body president. The Fishades has its own constitution where they can decide the number of freshmen they want, which we can't touch except through legislation. So I think the best way for us to let Fishades do their own thing is to not lay any additional requirements on them, like a number that we have to change, that they have to go through us, because that's just a power, like, it will help them long run for them to make their own decisions instead of us suit for it. And right now, it's not even the current statutes, the number of Fishades that take. So with that, I move to previous question.
Previous question has been moved and do the second. All in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Mr. Chair, that passes. All in favor of passing this amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Chair calls on division for 2/3 amendment. All in favor, please stand. Are you in favor?
Yeah.
Are you in favor? Nope. Chair Slonka, am I right that it's 2/3 amendment on the floor? And all opposed, please stand. With a vote of 25 to 13, the Aggie math, I will vote for the amendment and it will pass.
Point of order.
Yes.
Chair Slonka, rules and regulations does not require 2/3 plus 1.
Well, and I believe it requires a 2/3 majority. 2/3.
I don't know.
Is that not half?
I guess, yeah.
Is it still half?
I guess you're right.
Yeah, because it takes a 1/3 plus.
Yeah, so you're out of order.
And I probably got to use my vote for something. So, okay, so that passes. And we will now go into debate on our, it's right. It's right. Okay, and we'll now go into, back to debate again with Chair Rosen, Senator Rosen.
I yield the floor.
And debate for the bill goes to Senator Hutton.
Senator Hutton, off-campus caucus. Now that that amendment has passed and it is in the form that was presented to the Fishades director, I think that this is the best bill going forward. And with that, I motion to previous question.
Previous question has been moved to second. All in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Previous question passes. We'll now move to period voting on SB 6882, Fishade Selection Act. All in favor of SB 6882, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Nay. That passes. We'll now move into a period of open session, beginning with Chair Clark.
Chair Clark, on campus caucus, I have a brief open session.
Yes, sir. Please briefly describe the bill.
Basically, it forms the campus climate inclusion committee.
Is there a second? There are seconds. You may come forward and have 10 minutes beginning and have. Yes, you have a motion?
Yes, motion, Senator Kruger, College of Liberal Arts. We have first school preference. Can this email be sent out to all the members? Can this be emailed to all the members of the body as some senators can't access the time?
We can do that pending whatever she's about to ask me. Yes.
Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah,
Why
we
did you
can,
access that?
Mr. Mayor and officer here, hard at work getting at you guys.
Everyone has access.
So y'all have 10 minutes beginning at half.
That's from Steve.
All right. Well, howdy. Howdy. All right, so, like we talked about, this is the bill that we're gonna put forth that we think is the best way to move forward and giving all students at Texas A&M a voice. So the reason why this bill came up, again, because of concerns for the constituency affairs bill that we talked about earlier. And also, there are a lot of underrepresented groups on Texas A&M campus, and most of the time their voices do not get heard in this body. So I think that adopting this language will make that change. This bill does three things. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I know we're trying to get out of here. So number one, it makes another type of committee. Right now we have a legislative committees, which is the RR committee, the Student Services Committee, all those. But now under this new language, we will make a new type of committee named Special Assignment Committee. The difference between the both of these is legislative committees will get legislation in them, they will receive them and will be able to push them out. And special assignments committees will not have that power to do so. Special assignments committees that are already in formation and that will go under this type of committee is IA and operations. And hopefully, if this bill passes, the Campus Climate and Inclusion Committee will go under a special assignments committee in the Senate. Number two, this bill forms the Campus Climate and Inclusion Committee. So basically, this committee will have a chair that will be elected by the body. They will sit over there, so have all the rights of committee chair. And the makeup of the membership will be, and this is something new, and I'll talk more about it when we get down, is that there will be campus climate and inclusion representatives, issue representatives on each and every legislative committee that will be appointed by each committee chair. There's a process outlined how that happens in the legislation, and that's something we can go over when it goes for final passage. But these campus climate and inclusion issue representatives will make sure that during each legislative committee's consideration on each bill, that the underrepresented voice is heard inside of that process. This committee will not take in legislation because, again, this is a special assignments committee. It won't take in legislation, so we won't have the problem of, oh, this bill can go to this committee and it can go here. It will go to regular legislative committee. The campus climate and inclusion issues reps is the third thing that this bill does. Again, it makes it an office position, and these will be appointed by each legislative committee chair. Again, there's a process that I'll go through, and I'm not going to get into it because it's a lot. We'll talk about it. If somebody wants to ask a question about that, awesome. The duties basically, again, will make sure the voice of the representative group is heard during the consideration of each and every piece of legislation that the committee has. And lastly, the campus climate and inclusion reps will have dual committee membership. So that means they will be a member of their legislative committee and also a member of the campus climate and inclusion committee. That will be, their main job would be is to research research issues of campus climate and diversity, and also put out legislation to address those issues. So that's really just a point-by-point thing of what I want it to look like. So if anybody has any questions, I know it's a big bill, it's 6 pages. So I know I need to give you time to read it, but I know that at the next meeting, you all will be ready on it. And I think this is something that can garner consensus, something that everybody can get behind. And I think that this will make our body a better body because of it. And so with that, I yield my time.
Excellent. We'll begin with Pro Tem Dean.
Campus. Will this campus climate and inclusion committee chair have voting on IA?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. That is something that was a concern. So no, this will not even be a member of IA. And I'll tell you the reason why, because it would mess up the voting procedure now, I'm sure. So we decided that this committee chair won't have a voting, they won't even be a part of IA. They will have They will talk to the administrators that deal with diversity issues and things, but again, they won't be a part of IA, won't be able to vote in IA. Did that answer?
We'll go to Chair Carlson.
Chair Carlson, Student Services, will first preface, based on the pro tem's questioning, then would the chair of this committee still be on another legislative committee as well?
No, they won't. They will stand alone. And the reason why we want to do that is because we want this chair to be looking at the body as a whole and making recommendations on how to be more inclusive. And I don't think they can do that job. From my standpoint, I was an ad hoc chair and also on the finance committee. I would have much liked to be able just to do, no offense to it, but I would have liked to just be doing ad hoc committee stuff because I think that would have made my job a bit easier. Does that answer your question?
We'll now go back to President Dean.
President Dean, Campus, Commissioner Peppers.
Yes.
We kind of have an issue with absences and people attending committee meetings and absenting out. Will they then have the availability to absence out because they're going to have attendance wise for 2 committees, or how would that be handled?
I'm so glad you asked the question. Good questions here. So for campus climate and inclusion issues representatives, since they will have 2 committees that they'll have to go through to each month, instead of each unexcused absence being counted as 1, they'll be counted as half. So the ability of that of them will be only to get 1 committee absence during the month. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? And with that, this bill is referred to the Rules and Regulations Committee. We'll now go back to open session. Are there any motions, Senator Jones?
I have a bill for open session.
Yes, ma'am. Please briefly describe your bill.
What it's going to do is change some aspects of SB 6856 to make it comply with Texas law.
Okay, you have a motion to change the bill to comply with Texas law. Is there a second? Okay, you may come forward and you'll have 10 minutes beginning. Have you emailed the bill?
That, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I need to add one more person before I do that. Is that okay?
Yeah, we can say that.
Okay.
Okay. By the way, while we have a lull in the action here, Senator Gordon is okay. He just stood up too quickly. It's fine. I think it might be battered senator syndrome, long-serving senator. So. But he's absolutely fine. He took the night off. He wanted me to share that with you guys. I forgot, but now I'm coming.
When we have yeah. Oh, we have that. It's like, he needs help, and we're like, what happened? He's like, no, you have that. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah. I mean,
You got it? You have 10 minutes to have it?
Okay, howdy.
Howdy.
So basically, SB 6856 was the student region selection process. And basically, we're not changing anything about the bill except for in 2 different places. In one place, it says that
they have to have, the committee that chooses the student regents has to have their decision, in the original bill, it said they had to have it by the 4th week of the semester. This changes it to November 1st. And then in the second instance, it says that, for the spring semester, they have to have it by the 1st week of the spring semester. This changes it to January 1st. And all that is just to comply with Texas law. So really, we're not changing much, just updating it so that everything's legal. That makes sense. There was 5 in the original. And so that is basically all we are doing. I yield for questions now.
Any questions, Chair?
Chair of Finance. So the other highlight I'm seeing where it says 5, that's not an
Right,
amendment.
so I read SB 6856 just to be sure, and 5 was in there too, so.
Okay.
I don't know why that's highlighted.
Randomly high.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this bill is referred to rules and regulations. Are there any other bills for open session? Senator Blair?
Senator Blair, I have a bill for open session.
Yes, sir. Please briefly state the bill.
It's about development days. It should be having an extra development day.
Okay.
It should be sent to the email.
Does this bill have a second? Is there a second? You will have 10 minutes beginning at half. Could we please email us at the bottom? Yeah, you can start.
All right. Howdy, Senate. This was something I wanted to talk about. As a new senator last semester, I had a learning curve that I had to adjust to understand where to go for my resources and things like that. So, and just eloquency in speech also is another issue for new senators, because I don't feel like they're really comfortable the first day that they come here. So, yeah. So basically, the night before, hopefully, I'd actually calling it I said mock trial, but mock Senate meeting, just so they could get used to, pulling up their placards and stuff like that, and the vocabulary that we use, because it is, unorthodox to lay people. And I think it would just have a more efficient Senate with debate, committee, and just floor period. So, I'm open to questions.
Sorry, actually, try to Senator Sport.
Senator Sport, calling about life science. I hate to ask this question, but so you got the therefore like being active one. Are you going to have anything else in the bill? Can I defer to someone else?
You asked.
Point of information.
So, yes, ma'am.
Is this not the first reading, so it'll be sent to a committee where it can be revised if something's wrong with it, whereas it's what the department actions?
Indeed, ma'am, it will be sent to.
Perfect.
We're going to add on Sheriff.
Is there any thought about putting this type of mock Senate meeting with the development days that are already there?
Yeah, and it was, the mock thing was an idea that came with extra, my first idea was an extra development day, but just having them, have an extra day to understand, I think the extra day, the extra 24 hours in advance, that's not a lot, just so they know what they're getting themselves into, and they can go and, look at the archives, this is where I went to go see, what kind of language are all these bills in, and what language is this law in, like, because I didn't understand how undergraduate students could write laws, so I went and looked at the old laws, because, I thought that's what lawyers were for. So, anyway, so I kind of made it, I read enough, and I caught on, and now it's kind of plain English to me, but yeah, an extra development day for me would help me understand, not just asking questions, but making legislation.
Mrs. Caldwell.
Yes, sir.
So just to be clear, so you're not saying that this is gonna be added to the development day already in place? There's gonna be a separate development day?
Yeah, basically the night before.
Okay.
But I mean, if the committee doesn't see that fit, then, whatever, a lot of things happen in committee. But, yeah, a mock trial would be great, or an extra day. But either way, I think we just need to beef it up a little bit and just have a little bit more encouragement for the new senators.
Don't like it, person Dean.
We're going to be an off-campus, permission to preface.
Yes, ma'am.
So the extra development days, will those be required? Because there were development days for the Learn How to Write legislation this year and only 2 came.
I was not aware that, well, for me, for a fill-in senator, I can only really speak for fill-in senators because that's the development day I attended. And it just, I understood that I needed to speak. I just didn't know, what were the current controversial issues or, that's going on within this, the cycle. So I just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to make anything, so I didn't know that was already in there. But yeah, making it mandatory the night before would be great because that way they do have an extra day to, be incentivized, basically.
Commissioner Collins.
We only have a minute to my election. Senator Turner is in for question.
Senator Turner off campus, I move to move this bill to the regulations committee.
Motion to move to RR is made and do the second. This is debatable motion. Is there any debate against moving this to RR? Seeing none, debate on side. All in favor of moving this bill to the rules and regulations committee, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously. Chair Sonka.
Mr. Speaker, Chair Sonka, rules and regs, I have a resolution.
Yes, sir. Please state the title of the resolution.
The resolution is the Texas A&M University Campus Carry Policy Support Resolution.
Are there any seconds for this? All the seconds, you may please come forward. You and anyone else on the bill. You'll have 10 minutes to have.
Is that the open session drive?
That's on the drive and open session, and I believe important.
Well, howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
About over a year ago, we passed a Concealed Campus Act, which was later adopted as Texas state law. However, there's some gray area within the law that some universities are using to say, you can't have guns in dorms or anything like that. And as far as I'm concerned, dorms are U.S. soil, so Second Amendment applies there. However, we do go to the greatest university in the state, and our policies are much more in keeping with the spirit of the law and not just, how far can we go without infringing on the letter of the law. So we wrote a resolution to thank the people in charge, the committee that reviewed the policies for reaching the decision that they did. And that's all this resolution is. Are there any questions?
Seeing no questions, thank you very much. Is there any debate against the bill? Resolution, sorry. Seeing none, and by the way, resolutions only require one reading, so we're voting on this. So any debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll move into a period of voting. All in favor of passing this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
In the ears of the chair, that passes. We'll now go division of dilatory. Any other bills for open session? Seeing none, open session is closed. And we will now go to committee reports, beginning with Chair Clark first, because I always forget you at the end.
On-campus coffee. First, I meant to say this during
Just say in order.
The constituency affairs bill that I didn't get a chance to. But I want to thank my committee members for hard work well done. So we can give them a nod. I know that these things are coming 2 months out until the end of the session and do what they did. They worked.
Please stay in order.
They work very hard, and I thank them for it. Some of the things that we push for in our time, in our time as a committee are making the ICD credit.
Please stay in order. You're out of order, Crutchy.
Okay. Some of the things we worked on is trying to make the ICD credit more of a cultural credit than it is, making sure that Hard Rock is not considered a cultural type thing. And another thing is also making a presentation during youth student conferences that addresses issues of race and diversity. These things we moved the ball on, but did not get to see them through because you know how bureaucracy works. Yes. So, but I hope that if the Campus Climate and Inclusion Committee has put forth, the bill that's put forth is approved, that these things can be moved forward still. So we will not have a committee meeting, Campus Climate and Inclusion Committee people. Again, I just want to thank you for your hard work, and I'm happy to relinquish my stand. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Chair Clark. Are there any questions for the chairman? Chair Hood.
Chair Hood, Finance. Chair Clark, if you had, I guess, during your time serving, if you had one recommendation that you put forward for those of us who are going to be going in 69 on the best way to address issues of diversity and inclusion on campus of Texas A&M, what would your advice be for those students?
Thank you for that question. My big thing would be to reach out to them. We and the diversity commissioner and other members of this committee went to their meetings. We talked to them and heard what they went through. And I got to tell you, some of these things that they go through, it's crazy. You know, it's almost unthinkable, some of the things that go on. So if we were just to go out and talk to them and show that we care about what they're going through, show that we care about having their voices heard, I think that would go a long way to ease the divide that is between us and has been between us for a long time. So for the 69th session of senators who are here now, I would ask each and every one of you to go out to different endeavors and get their opinion, hear what they want to hear what they say, and then legislate on that. And don't be scared about, oh, I'm uncomfortable or anything. That's what college is about, going out and talking to different people that are so, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Chair Clark? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll now go to Chair Lane.
Howdy. So every week, even though every week, I've been chair for like almost the whole semester, but I always get out of the committee report at the end, so I never have anything grand planned. This is no different. Next week, but no guarantees on that either, because I might forget. Seeing as we have no business in the committee, there's no need to meet. Thank you, my committee, for the awesome bills we did do this semester, and I look forward to see what this committee will do next semester year session.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you for your service, sir. Now I go to Chair Clark, or Chair Finney.
Chair Finney, CR, we have nothing, so we will not meet.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Chair Finney. Chair Hood.
Chair Hood, Finance. I don't know if I can top the expectations that were set before me in the previous reports. But also, we have no legislation, so we will not be having a meeting. However, Finance Committee expects for me to try and reach out to y'all to hang out because I'll be lonely this weekend. So, oh, well.
Phrasing.
Yeah, phrasing. I'll have some free time. That's what I meant.
Okay. Are there any questions? Are there any questions for Chair Hood? Yes, Chair Page.
Chair Page, I gotta make a favor. So what kind of things could us as senators do to make you feel less lonely this weekend?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Honestly, shoot me a text. In the And gosh, I can't even make eye contact. You personally, I would love to grab lunch. Lunch and coffee. I'm trying to, there's a theme.
No, I have a question. Sherwood, how many people have you asked out on dates this meeting alone?
Well, I don't necessarily, I believe in being intentional. And so if I'm not. So if I haven't explicitly called it a date and brought it forward to someone as a date, then it was not a date. So, yes.
So they'll say,
Yes, sir. So people have different interpretations of what the date is. So is it possible that when you send out a mass invitation, text me this weekend?
Yes.
And I'll be lonely.
Yes, absolutely. I understand completely. I apologize for those of you who were asking. I have a girlfriend. Sorry. So I apologize for those of you who misinterpreted, especially you. I apologize. But yes, I think I understand.
With 37 seconds withdraw. Okay, seeing no more questions, thank you very much, Sherwood. And I hope somebody texts you this weekend. Chair Bosworth.
Chair Bosworth did. I'd like to apologize for last week. Obviously, for some reason, they didn't have my table to speak to the MSC. Many of my members condolence me with the likes on Facebook for sympathy. So next week, I'm not going to require my members to come. If you guys want to remove any absences, we have 2 hours. That's great. If not, I won't have the table open. So please, please do sign up for the Excel sheet if you want to, remove absences so you can make the last joint session meeting. If not,
Good. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Chair Page.
Chair Page, Academic Affairs. I'll start by saying, unlike the previous chair, I take texts at night too. That's cool. He usually calls me, but anyway. On a serious note, Senate, a couple quick updates. So we spoke with Mark Stone, the CIO of the system, and he has offered a letter of support for Google Fiber. So that's pretty exciting news. Still working on getting that drafted up, getting the signatures and everything. But another thing is, thank you to my committee members for suffering through a long meeting last night. We selected our 2 or possibly 3 award winners for the Open Educational Awards, which would be the first time us as an SGA partner with the library are going to hand these out. The award ceremony will probably be on May 12th or May 2nd or 4th in the Cushing's Library, fully funded by the library. So pretty exciting stuff. I'll let you guys know what happens. So if you want to come out and watch or whatever, I don't know if that's fun, but either way, so thank you guys for that. Another thing is, our faculty senate meeting kind of got pushed back. We're going to be meeting with them this Monday to discuss like 8 or 9 things. So hopefully some of that happens. Really pulling for the interview absence bill, but we'll see how that goes. Also, the biggest thing, I guess, is the Gathright Award. So if you guys, some of you were here last year, if you remember, the previous academic affairs chair was asking for your help in handing these out. So the Gathright Award is an award given out to the top academically performing person on a sophomore, junior, and senior level within their college. So a very big deal, and in the past, SGA has always sent a representative to hand out the award, sometimes say a few words, and I've got like a pre-canned speech if you want to use that. So we've got one for the business college coming up in, I think, 2 days. Some of the other ones are going to be in the next week or 2. Still waiting on some dates. I'll send all that out in an email tonight or tomorrow, but I'd really appreciate your guys' support. Help hand these out, represent your college. This is a great way to shine a very positive light on SGA and be a part of something very special for, very high achieving students. And with that, I'll say, as we have no legislation, there'll be no committee meeting. Enjoy your last few weeks and try to get through finals. Open for questions.
Are there any questions for Chair Page? Oh, sorry, we had two. Chair Hood.
Chair Hood, Finance. So your comment about United Texas, a little confused here now. So are we talking, so Saturday at noon, is that good for you?
Dude, you can shoot me a text whenever you want. I probably won't respond for a few days, but.
We're going to Rosie.
Cameron Rosine, College of Science. Are you telling us you just like to play games with us? Telling us you like to
Well, if I was playing games, would I answer that question honestly?
Yeah, all right. Are there any other questions? Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, as a local senator, I'm the one that's usually sending the text. Maybe I was wondering when, us, regular senators can get text.
Yes, sir.
Chair Saunders, rules and regs. I move to close the period of question and answer.
Second, all in favor, doing so, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay. My fans.
Yes, we'll close it. All right, Chair Carlson.
All right, Chair Carlson, Student Services. Because I see 4 of y'all in here, which is better attendance than most of our committee meetings in the first place. We actually already have a committee meeting, but if y'all don't mind, immediately, just out in the hallway or in our little spot or whatever, we have one thing that we need to talk about. So immediately following tonight's meeting, we'll go to our spot and have a committee meeting. With that, open to questions.
Any questions for Chair Carlson? Seeing none, thank you very much. Cool. When I go to Chair Sanka.
Chair Saunders, rules and regs. We are going to have our committee meeting on Monday at 7 p.m. here in Coldus. Scratch that. That's the SGA Awards banquet. So, Tuesday at 7? Non? Okay. No, I'm not on this week. Now we're going to yank it from committee. Not if it's okay to yank it from committee. Okay, we're going to have our rules and regs meeting Tuesday at 7 p.m. here in Coldus. Any bills we pass, we're going to have to discharge them from committee, so I ask your cooperation when that time comes. We have a chancellor's thing. Okay, here's what we're going to do. No, I'm not figuring out this. We are going to do it Monday night at 9 p.m. Okay, it's tentatively set for Monday at 5, and if it changes, I will let the entire body know via Facebook and email. So there you go, Monday at 5. Other than that, something that was mentioned by the finance chair that I wanted to touch on was the health notes thing. The speaker, Vice President of Municipal Affairs, Beckerman, and I put in a lot of work researching this bill for months. We reached out to a lot of people at Butyl, and we just got totally railroaded in the Student Rules and Regulations Committee meeting, so that's not going to happen. All your notes, it's all going to be the same as it ever was, same as it always was. We got blindsided. So anyway, in terms of some of the things that were said about the Rules and Regulations Committee tonight, it has always been our policy to give the officers the best chance. There's all sorts of things, but I don't vote on changes to bills. I know some senators have messaged me asking, why I changed it. I don't vote on changes. I just chair the meeting. I wouldn't argue that Speaker Mitchell isn't necessarily in favor of every bill that gets passed through here. But y'all are all more than welcome. We had plenty of attendees who were not on the committee. Everyone's welcome. I would much rather you ask the questions there, see it for yourself, and just be a part of the process if you're that interested. With that, I'm up for questions.
I'll recognize myself off campus. Would you say that what the Student Rules and Regulations Committee did was not the same, but was actually in fact worse, because now every single professor can have their own attendance policy, and us as students are required to memorize 4, 5, 6, 7 different 10 policies, depending how many classes you take?
I wouldn't characterize it necessarily that way, but I would agree that they moved the ball in the other direction because they had us approve certain changes, so it used to be there was absence explanation form you could fill out and send in, and some professors could take that. They struck that, but held all the changes in abeyance pending the results of the subcommittee, and then they shut down the subcommittee, and then they passed all the changes that we had given them in order to get the subcommittee and research it more. So I would say it's worse now, but not exactly for the reasons you mentioned, because I think they could have done that anyway.
Chair Clark.
Chair Clark on campus, about the Student Rules Committee.